The night Daniel Mercer rode out, the desert felt wrong, too quiet, too still, as if the wind itself was holding its breath. He had set out with a rifle slung across his back, determined to hunt down the cougar that had been terrorizing his cattle. But the deeper he went into the canyons, the heavier the silence became, until he heard a cry, sharp, terrified human. He froze. That wasn't a cougar. He followed the sound and found a young Apache woman trapped beneath a fallen mesquite tree. Her ankle twisted, her hands scraped raw from trying to free herself. She looked up at him with fierce, defiant eyes that promised she would fight him to her last breath if she had to, and that was the moment his life changed. Before the story continues, the narrator's voice softens. Before we continue this powerful story, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Wild Heart Stories, where every story reminds us that kindness still matters. Then the tale flows on. Daniel approached slowly, lifting both hands to show he meant no harm. But she spat something in Apache, her voice trembling with equal parts pain and pride. Daniel didn't understand the words, but he understood the look. She had learned not to trust men, especially men carrying guns. He could have left her. No one would have blamed him. She was from a tribe many settlers kept their distance from, sometimes out of fear, sometimes out of ignorance. But Daniel wasn't raised that way. His mother used to tell him, "A person in need is a person you help. Doesn't matter the color of their skin or the flag they wave." So he knelt, slid his hands under the heavy branch, and with a strain that shook every bone in his back, lifted it just enough for her to pull free. He expected her to run the moment she could stand. Instead, she collapsed, clutching her ankle with a sharp wince. She wasn't going anywhere. He could have walked away, but again, he didn't. He wrapped her ankle gently, lifted her onto his horse, and brought her home. And that was when trouble started. Word spread fast in small towns, faster than wildfire in a dry canyon. Daniel brought an Apache woman to his ranch. He's hiding her. He's protecting her, some whispered. Some warned. A few threatened. But Daniel stood firm. She barely spoke at first, only her name, Nayeli. It meant "I love you" in her people's tongue, though Daniel didn't know that yet. Days passed. She helped with chores despite her injury. She fed the horses, tended the chickens, and stitched a tear in Daniel's coat without being asked. Slowly, she began to trust him, and Daniel found himself learning from her. Her calmness, her care for the land, the way she listened before she acted. She taught him how to read the sky for storms, how to track animals without disturbing a single branch, how to sit in silence and let peace do the talking. But the real twist came one evening. Daniel discovered the cougar tracks again, only this time they circled his house. Before he could take a step out the door, Nayeli grabbed his arm. She shook her head fiercely, made a quick sign with her hands, and pointed toward a ridge. Daniel followed her lead, confused but trusting her instincts. They climbed the ridge quietly, and from above they saw it, the cougar. Gaunt and limping, not hunting cattle at all, but searching for a safe place to die. A bullet wound grazed its shoulder, likely from a careless hunter. Daniel lowered his rifle. Nayeli placed her hand over his. In that moment, Daniel realized something profound. Compassion wasn't weakness, it was strength in its purest form. Instead of killing the creature, they watched it from a distance as it curled beneath a rocky ledge, breathing its last breath in peace. Nayeli whispered a soft prayer in Apache, a farewell for a life that deserved dignity, even in death. That night, Daniel looked at her with new eyes, not as someone he had rescued, but as someone who had rescued him. She had shown him a different way to walk through the world, with gentleness, with grace, with humanity. Weeks passed. Her ankle healed. She was free to leave, but she didn't. She chose to stay. One evening, as the sun sank behind the hills, smearing the sky with gold and crimson, Nayeli stood beside Daniel on the porch. She placed a hand over her heart, then over his. No words, just a gesture, and Daniel understood exactly what it meant. From a chance encounter born out of fear and danger, the two had forged a bond that neither culture nor history could break. They became partners, in work, in purpose, and eventually in love. Together, they raised a ranch that became known not for its size or wealth, but for its kindness, its fairness, and the rare peace it offered anyone who arrived at its gates. When people asked Daniel what changed him, he always said the same thing. One night I went out hunting for danger, and instead I found a reason to be a better man. And the story ends with this reflection. Sometimes life sends us exactly the person we need, not to save, but to learn from. And when we choose compassion over fear, kindness over anger, and humanity over division, that's when we truly change the world, one heart at a time.